Hello, welcome to my bedroom floor. My name is Dags, and I'm going to talk about lesbianism, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. Um, this specific topic that I'm going to be discussing, it came from a request. Someone commented on a video of mine like a couple of weeks ago, possibly like a month ago, and they were asking for tips on overcoming comphet or compulsive heterosexuality. I think that's what that is. I'm not sure if I got the words like 100% right, but the idea of comphet is when you're a queer person and you sort of don't want to accept that you're queer, and it's not that you're homophobic or anything. It's just for you heterosexuality, that's always been the only option for you. That's what you grew up expecting to partake in a way. And so now that you're faced with this whole new world of like, oh, wow, I can be more than heterosexual, like that's not the only way to live, that you sort of get a little bit confused. And it's like, it's sort of like a habit, like heterosexuality, and it's hard to break free from the restraints of heterosexual, like straightness. And I'm sure there's better ways to define it, but for me that's how I understood it. That's based on my personal experience. So me personally, I'm a lesbian, and I'm very open about my sexuality. um this is mostly an ASMR channel, but in most of my videos I believe I mentioned that I'm a lesbian at least once. If not, then I mentioned my girlfriend. And if neither of those two, then I think it's just pretty obvious that I'm at least queer to some extent. But maybe that's just me. I don't want to assume things. So, yeah, I wasn't always like this, though. For some background, I was raised in a very religious household. I was raised in a very religious household. My parents they still are, like, really conservative, very traditional. And for added context, I am Asian. I'm Filipino. I am born and raised in the Philippines. I live in the Philippines. So if you're Filipino or you know anything about Filipino families, then you'll know that they're strict. They're strict, and you know, religion is always like a big thing in the family. Specifically Christianity, specifically Catholicism, which is what we are. We're Catholics. I'm Catholic on paper. Is all I'm gonna say. And so I grew up surrounded with conservative ideas and values and family values and that kind of stuff. And there's nothing inherently wrong about that. You know, um, in some way, it shaped me. It shaped me in a good way, in a positive way. It made me less. It made me more disciplined, I guess. Gave me more self control because, trust me, as a Catholic, the guilt is crazy. Like the guilt that comes with doing the most normal human like stuff. It's crazy. It's insane. And so I would always I would always be anxious in a way that I would do something that would upset God, and then I'd always fall to my knees begging for forgiveness when I'd read a book and there's a swear word, or when I'm watching a music video and they curse, and it's like, ah. So yeah, and obviously what comes with that is the idea that I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna be a mother, I'm gonna raise kids to be Catholic, they're gonna raise their kids to be Catholic, all of that stuff. And obviously my parents learned that from their parents, who probably learned it from their parents, and so on and so forth. And I was okay with that. Funnily enough, every time I had a crush on a guy, and this was like in middle school or something, I was never attracted to the guys. I was never attracted to the guys. At most, I would be like, this dude is fun to hang out with, or like I get along with him. But I was never like, oh, he's so dreamy. Like, I adore him. Like, this person is so amazing, and I'm just so drawn to him. Like, I never experienced any of that. what was always at the forefront of my mind, like my little 12-year-old mind, whenever I would think about guys, or like guys that I knew, it was, who would my parents like? Who would my parents want for me? And I would think about this guy and I'd be like, he's religious. He doesn't swear. He smells okay at least. Like, I'll have a crush on him. I'll have a crush on him, because everyone chooses who to have a crush on, right? Wrong. I was a lesbian. If you're currently choosing what guys to be attracted to without actually feeling any genuine attraction towards them, I'm gonna let you sit with the silence on that one, because I think we both know what that means for you. But anyways, so yeah. And it wasn't until 8th grade, I think, like the end of 8th grade, start of 9th grade, like that area. It's a very confusing area. I was 14 and I got a girlfriend. It was a crazy plot twist. I never questioned my sexuality before then, but my now girlfriend, they confessed to me. We grew close over the summer, and during a sleepover that was like right before the start of the next school year, they confessed to me, and I was taken off guard. I was like, oh, me? Because if you didn't know, I was like a loser back then, like seriously, like a loser, bottom of the bottom when it comes to, what do you call it, like high school popularity hierarchy type shit. And my girlfriend, on the other hand, they were like a popular kid. Like everybody loved them. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're so pretty, they're so cool, they dress so well. I myself, I was one of those people. So I was really surprised when they confessed to me. And not like, it wasn't even the fact that we're both girls, it was more the fact that I'm me and they're them. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was the whole thing. And obviously it was a confusing time for me. And we started dating because I did like them. I liked them. And after they confessed, I really thought about it. I was like, this is what that feels like. Like this is what being attracted to someone feels like. It was a huge epiphany for little 14-year-old me, because again, I never experienced like a serious crush before my girlfriend, which is crazy, I know. So we started dating because I liked them, they liked me, like why not? And I was thinking, because again, if you grow up in a religious household, Catholic household, virginity and stuff, that's a big thing. And in my 14-year-old head, I was thinking like, my parents always say that my first boyfriend should be my last, and if my first boyfriend is a girlfriend, what does that mean? Like I was going through it, and I was thinking like, if they're gonna be my first girlfriend, then that means it's gonna be my first kiss, and then my first other stuff, and it won't be with a guy. Like for some reason that I was distraught over that, not because I wanted to do those stuff with a guy, but because that's what I thought I had to do. Like I thought this is how it goes, and it's super irrational now that I look back on it. But I was a little 14-year-old in a very religious school with a very religious family, and that's all I could think about. I really liked this girl, but all I could think about was it needs to be a guy. It needs to be a guy. And it was like like I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of just unpacking all of this like right now in this very moment. Like you're watching me unpack how I overcame comphet back in the day. It's like happening in real time, you know. So this is very raw. I try to keep all my videos very raw. I like it raw. So yeah, where was I? Sorry, it's the ADHD. I'm diagnosed. It's the ADHD. Hello, sorry. Um, stick with me. Stick with me. Stick with me. I know I know you're thinking of clicking away. You're probably looking for a different video to watch, but no, you're staying with me. You're stuck with me. So yeah, I kept on tunnel visioning on the fact that my girlfriend wasn't a guy. And it's like, it felt like if I gave up all my first to a woman, then what am I going to give to my boyfriend, my future boyfriend? And again, no interest in guys. I didn't want a boyfriend. But I was so wrapped up in the idea that eventually what I have to do is get a boyfriend, make him my husband, and let him make me into a mother. And now that I think about how I used to think, like, it shivers me timbers. It really does. It shivers me timbers, because like, wow, like not to sound crazy, but that was low-key, like, I was low-key brainwashed now that I think about it. And so yeah, that was a whole kerfuffle. But eventually I sort of stopped caring. Now listen, there's no step-by-step guide to overcoming comphet, okay? And I really do mean this. Look at the way I am now. I know I look gay. I also look gay at 14. I had long straight hair. I wore baggy clothes. I always wore a hoodie. My hair would be like, it would be like on one side. And so I was basically a hey mama's lesbian. I was a hey mama's lesbian. And even then, I was like so focused on guys. Just so strange to me. And for a period of time, I was calling myself straight while I had a girlfriend. And I wasn't denying the fact that I had a girlfriend. I would say, like, I'm straight, but I have a girlfriend. Like, oh, they're the only exception, you know? Wrong. I'm a dyke. I'm a dyke. So I forgot when I first accepted that I was at least bisexual. Okay, that was, if I remember correctly, that was a long process. It took a lot for me to come to terms with the fact that I also liked women, even though I didn't even like guys. But in my head at the time, I was like, okay, it's okay that I also like girls. It's okay. I'm still like half straight, you know. And it was just so, like, now that I think about it, stupidest thing ever. But in the moment, like, I'm telling you, I understand. Especially if you grew up Catholic, religious, whatever, the transition from being, you know, like a church girl into a raging lesbian, it's not easy. So that was like phase 1, basically. And I was bisexual for a very, very long time. I could never imagine, like, the more I got to spend time with my girlfriend, the more we got to be girlfriends. And that's a whole nother issue. It took a very long time before we were able to, like, see each other freely. There was a lot of drama. Again, Catholic school, shit happened. But eventually we got to the point where we got to see each other sort of regularly. This was like after the pandemic. And I loved it. That was sort of the first times I truly felt comfortable being with a woman. Not even like physically, just like being in the presence of a woman and being able to act like a girlfriend with another girl. Do you know what I mean? And it's like adoring another girl in that way, in a romantic sense. Like that was like the first time I really felt that way. And it's, now that I think, like, it makes me kind of nostalgic thinking back on those days, like how like the puppy love kind of phase, sort of. And I just, yeah. And I think what played a big part in me being comfortable about that uh like being comfortable being in a queer relationship, in a walla relationship as the kids call it nowadays, was the fact that my girlfriend, they always treated me like a lady. They always treated me like a girl. I would see some people on TikTok excuse me, I would see some masks on TikTok, and they would talk about how they would date like feminine girls, you know, they date femmes, and they would low-key treat them like men. Like they wouldn't do anything for them that a man would do for his girlfriend, if you know what I mean. And I don't know, I felt really grateful because I never had to experience that. My girlfriend, they would always call me pretty. They would always take care of me the way that girls take care of girls, but like in a romantic sense. You know, it's really hard to articulate in the moment, but give me a pen and paper and I will write the most gorgeous poem about like queer romance, queer intimacy, queer relationships, because it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm telling you right now. Something about being in a lesbian relationship, it's like artistic in a sense, like it's poetic in a sense, because it's just not traditional. Like I feel like when it comes to heterosexual relationships, a lot of it is very transactional, you know, and those come from ideas that were ingrained into us over the span of hundreds of years. Things like, oh, man work, woman take care of house, that man build, and then woman make babies that man want. You know, like that. Obviously, it's not as caveman-y as that, but I feel like those are very basic ideas that we sort of believe in, and we don't even realize it. But when it comes to queer love, it's like it's very 50-50. Like it's more balanced, you know what I mean, in a sense that no one is expected to be the provider, no one is expected to be the caretaker, no one's expected to be more emotional, and no one's expected to be more physically strong. It's like you're on equal footing, and I feel like that's how a relationship should be. But the tendency when it comes to, again, straight couples is that we live in a patriarchal society, so of course most of the time, not all the time, the men end up having more power over the women. They have more control over the women. But in queer relationships, it's like you can't really do that. I mean, it's possible, of course, but more often than not, it's pretty equal. And I love that. I would think about that during the first few years of my relationship. It's like, this is nice. This is really nice. And being a lesbian, well, at the time I was bisexual, but being with my girlfriend, it taught me how to be softer, you know, because again, I grew up in a strict environment. I was pretty tense. I was pretty rigid. I was really bad at expressing myself. I was very nonchalant. I didn't have emotions. Like, it's not that I didn't have emotions. It's that when I had emotions, I didn't know what to do with them. They would just sort of bubble inside me, and it would honestly make me uncomfortable because I never know how to let out my emotions. I never knew how to be vulnerable or just be soft, be open. And being with my girlfriend, who is so understanding and thoughtful and patient and supportive, you know, being with them just made me learn how to be those things, learn how to be softer, gentler, more sweeter, you know, more expressive with my words and stuff. The way I talk now, I don't think I talked like this back in the day. I think I talked pretty stiffly. That's probably because of the neurodivergence, but who am I to say? So yeah, being in a queer relationship, it's a wonderful thing, okay? And I'm not saying that every queer relationship is perfect. I'm not saying that every lesbian couple is full, like, their relationship, it's not perfect. Not all of them will be healthy. Not all of them will be, amazing and aesthetic and Pinterest worthy. But for me, I really do view it as a very poetic thing. It's beautiful in that sense. It's beautiful the way art is beautiful. So if you are struggling with accepting your sexuality for whatever reason, I hope you know that you can be happy this way. Please, like, trust me, you can be happy this way. Accepting your sexuality, devoting yourself to like a queer relationship, surrounding yourself with queer people, that's not gonna send you to hell if that's what you're worried about. My source is that God told me in a dream. And you can be happy that way, because a lot of people, at least a lot of people for me, they would sort of say, you'll never be happy living that kind of lifestyle, like, you're not gonna have kids, you're not welcomed by the church, like, how are you gonna be happy that way? But you can be, because I'm happy. I met my girlfriend when I was 14. We first got together when I was 14. They were 13. I'm turning 21 this year. They're turning 20 this year, and we're still together. And it's just a wonderful thing being with them. I'm very lucky to have them. And I'm sure if you don't have someone now, then you will find them. And it's gonna feel uncomfortable at first. It really will feel uncomfortable at first, putting a label on yourself, being like, I guess I'm not who I thought I was. It's gonna feel weird, and it's gonna feel foreign. And maybe in a way you'll sort of feel as though you're betraying your past self, or maybe you're betraying the people who raised you or the environment that you grew up in. And to that I say, it is what it is. You're not betraying anyone, It's not a crime to be comfortable with who you are, as long as you're not hurting anyone, as long as you're not actively trying to disrespect anyone, offend anyone. Like, seriously, just be yourself. And I know that's really cringy, and like, everyone says that nowadays, but I mean that with utmost honesty. I'm forgetting words. I'm sorry. So yeah, I don't have much solid tips on how to overcome comphet. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I guess this is sort of clickbait. I hope not. I hope you still got something from this. Although I will say that, yeah, again, it's a long process. Okay, for some it's gonna be shorter. For others, it's gonna be longer. I think for me, it was on the longer side, because I had a lot to unpack. I had a lot of things to unlearn before I got to fully lean into my dykism. And so obviously it would be easier for others who don't have that sort of baggage to begin with. But if you are someone like me, then just know that it's possible and it's worth it. Okay, it might feel shitty, but it's worth it. I think the best thing you can do is sort of trust yourself. When you say, or when you think to yourself, this isn't who I am, or this isn't who I'm supposed to be, I want you to ask, is that really what you think, or is that how you think other people would think? I hope what I just said made sense, but I think you'll know what I mean. Like, is this a voice that's doubting myself? Is that really my own voice? Or are these the voices of the people who I'm surrounded with? Authority figures, teachers, parents. Again, not all of them mean harm. I know some of them are just, they grew up in a different time and all of that. But that doesn't mean that you should sacrifice your own happiness, just so that these people who say they love you get to avoid an ounce of discomfort, you know? So yeah, that's kind of all I can say about the matter. I feel I feel I could say more. It's just that I'm sort of running out of saliva at this point, and I feel like if I keep going on, then the things I'll say is just nonsense, and you're not gonna get anything valuable from it, because yeah, none of my videos are scripted. I think that's pretty obvious, but I don't even have bullet points or anything. I'm really just raw talking this. So yeah, that's all from me for tonight. I wish you luck on whatever journey it is that you're going on at the moment, whatever it is you're going through at the moment. You got this. I promise you, you got this. Your hand is a bit sweaty, but it's okay. So yeah, good night, good luck. I love you. Be a good person, make good art, eat good food. I hope the people in your life are kind to you, and I hope that you are kind to the people in your life. Okay. Bye bye.